It's the Score North Twin Show.
All right, Score North Twin Show, Extra Innings, live from Target Field. Declan Goff here. Got Kent Herbeck, released his mural. Behind me, Ross Brendel's back on the home front at the KSTP studios. There is a tree down in the parking lot. It didn't land on your car or you, though, I take it, Roscoe, correct?
No, it did not. And here's how non-observant I am. The way I parked this morning, I'm staring right at said down tree, and I didn't even realize it until somebody told me that it was down. But once you notice it, it's a big honking tree down in the back parking lot. So we're good, though.
Well, a lot of lumber down. A lot of lumber down from the storms last night here in the Twin Cities. A lot of lumber down the bullpen. A week ago, I gave Judd my bullpen pecking order, and I think 40% of that 40% of that bullpen is now gone in 1 week. Steven Okert, who, by the way, has accepted his assignment. He's with the St. Paul Saints, so he cleared waivers. He accepted the assignment. He's with AAA in Omaha with the Saints right now. But more bullpen shuffling. Michael Tonkin, his second stint back this season, third overall stint with the Twins in his career. He's back with the Twins. He's been claimed off waivers. Now, I will say that roster move is still a little bit of a TBD situation because the Twins claimed him off waivers. Caleb Bushley is also here. And Trevor Richards, the man that was acquired at the MLB trade deadline, is gone. So the only acquisition that was made at the MLB trade deadline is no longer on the roster. Poor Trevor Richards did not have a great go of it here. A ton of wild pitches, 7 to be exact. In fact, his 13 overall in baseball are the most among all teams this season. Just joins a long list of guys, for whatever reason, when this team is in contention and buying, they have swung and miss on. You can add him to Sam Dyson. You can add him, obviously, to the Tyler Mahle, Jorge Lopez trade, too. For whatever reason, Ross, when this team has been positioned to be buyers, they either haven't made significant trades to do so, or the things that they have brought in have never really worked out for them, and Trevor Richards is another member of that story.
Yeah, and, you have to look at them, in my opinion, a little bit differently. On the Mahle front, hey, I applaud you for going out and trying to get somebody to make your team better. The tough part is, I think in hindsight, you should have had your guard up a little bit with the medicals that you had, knowing something might not be all right with him, or at least know you were taking a risk. The Tyson one, same thing. He had some medical issues. You still acquired him. Also turns out, oh, by the way, not the world's greatest guy. And Richards,
hated
that
cats.
one at the time, hated cats, and that means I hate you, Sam Dyson. Actually, that's not true. I don't really hate anybody, but I strongly dislike you. And then the Richards thing, Declan, we talked about this, actually, I think that was July 31st at Park Tavern. Just felt odd. I mean, you probably got worse by grabbing him and DFAing Stalmont. And I'm not saying that Stalmont was great. I'm just saying, hindsight being 2020 now, I think you probably got worse. And now, did you get better with Michael Tonkin? Probably. I mean, Tonkin put together a couple nice months for the Yankees. I know you probably have those numbers in front of you, and maybe we'll get to those. But they're going to have a tough time cobbling together, Declan, this pitching staff, whether it be the rotation or the relief pitchers, via cast-offs on the waiver wire. There's a reason why those guys are there. And unless you get lightning in a bottle, it's hard to believe that Michael Tonkin's going to be the reason you win many games. It's easier to believe he'll be the reason that you lose games. So I don't really know what to make of it, Declan. I think we just have to hope that the starters can go 6-7 innings, and I think you're getting to a point where I think the guys you want to pitch out of the bullpen, and it has to be them. I know Rocco already did that. You guys talked about this plenty. Oh, we can't pitch Griffin Jacks every day. Well, Rocco, you might have to. I mean, you just might have to at some point. You mentioned yesterday, Declan, that you aren't worried about the teams behind the Twins. And I think yesterday maybe bared that out a little bit because the Red Sox lose 2. The Twins get pounded early by the Braves, end up losing, but the Twins lost their game and still picked up a half a game. They're now 5 games clear in the wild card. I would say this, though, Declan. I'm not necessarily worried about the teams behind the Twins. I'm worried about the Twins being able to hold those teams off by not collapsing so much. Because at some point you need to be healthy and you need to show that you can beat these good teams. And this is, for some reason, the last week and a half has been about the first time all year I've been really down, because this is the time of year where it's go time and the team looks to be regressing a little bit. And that's frustrating, but also kind of odd to say when you're 5 games clear in the wild card. Right? Odds are they will make the playoffs, but I don't believe it. I don't believe in the team much.
Yeah, they've lost 6 of 8. This has been probably their worst stretch of baseball since mid-June, when they went to a road trip against New York and Pittsburgh, where they lost both of those series. You'd like to see them. I don't love in classic sport calling tonight a must-win in a non-must-win situation, but it would be nice to kind of have a breath of relief if the Twins can figure out a way to beat the Braves the day after yesterday's just debacle of a rain delay. Bailey Ober gets tagged for 9 innings and 2 innings of work, or 9 runs, and 2 innings of work. And yeah, you have more bullpen shuffling. Stephen Vogt with the Guardians does not give a bleep if Emmanuel Clase's arm is going to explode or fall off. He will continue to throw him. He's definitely, and I don't spend too much time watching and observing the Guardians, but it seems like Stephen Vogt doesn't give a bleep, and he's going to go a little old school and just pitch these guys until their arms fall off, and they kind of have to, because their starting pitching is actually in a lot worse shape than the Twins is. The Twins aren't so eager to do that with other guys, but I mean, there's going to come a point, where the Twins are going to need some wins here, and in the playoffs, obviously, are off, and guys have to go. But yeah, Michael Tonkin maybe fills out the back end of that bullpen a little bit better than the Steven Okerts and Trevor Richards of the world. He did get tagged pretty good in the last week and a half or so with the Yankees. He did get off to a nice start, but you're not relying on Michael Tonkin to save the bullpen. This comes down to, do you even have enough bodies and guys just to fill out the bullpen? And that's obviously the goal of Tonkin.
On the other guys, Declan, the Jacks pitching back-to-back, or maybe 3 times in 4 days, or Duran when he has to. My issue is you've protected these guys, and rightfully so, for 4.5, 5 months. At some point, I don't want to call it kid gloves, but at some point you just might have to ask a guy to go out there 3 days in a row, because you kind of tired and at 70% is better than Scott Blewett at 110%. And we need you right now. And maybe you get to a point where, I don't know, Declan, occasionally this happens throughout a season. You win a game 10-2, and then maybe you can rest guys. But these games that are close one way or another, I've always had a bit of a problem with. Oh, we're winning by 2. Let's use the A-list guys in the 7th inning. Oh, we're losing by 1 or 2. Let's use the B-list guys in the 7th inning. When it gets to this point in the season, I just have a massive philosophical difference in belief of how the bullpen should be used. And I get it. I've said this before. Rocco's forgotten more about baseball than I'll ever know. And I'm just a guy recording a podcast with you. But it does get frustrating when you see guys that have bullets in the chamber, so to speak, and they're resting because they just threw 10 pitches the inning prior, or they pitched the day before. Declan, it's September. We're trying to go to the playoffs with a roster that's very depleted. The best guys need to play.
Logan asks, is Stewart and Topa ever coming back? Would they would even Nick back even? So Brock Stewart's done for the year. He had shoulder surgery, or was set to have it. He's out for the season. The hope is he'll be ready for spring training next year. We'll see. Justin Topa, I don't know. I saw him today. He's alive. He's
That's
apparently
great.
well. I don't know if he has any plan to come back to pitch this season. On Chris Paddock, I believe he had imaging done today. We're waiting to see where that is in terms of his availability. And I think what's going to happen here, and right now they need 5 starters, obviously, just like any other team does. But once the playoffs begin, I mean, and Simeon Wood-Richardson's pitching today in Game 2 on Tuesday against the Braves, does David Festa and Louis Varland become bullpen guys? Is Chris Paddock part of that equation too? I think all of those are options that will probably be available to the Twins if they use them. Paddock, we'll wait and see on what the injury is. I'll have an update on Joe Ryan here in just a second. But Yeah, Chris Paddock, hopefully part of those plans. David Festa, who's really good one time through. Louis Varland, who has good stuff, but really also struggles about the second, third time through the order. They're going to need other guys to step up. They'll get the roster bonus for September here in a couple days where they can carry an extra guy. They're going to need as many guys on deck that aren't, to your point, the Durans, Griffin Jacks, Cole Sands, Jorge Alcala, who we're still kind of waiting to see if he can bounce back, but I still have him part of those plans. The back end of that bullpen, we need to figure out who the hell's pitching.
If Paddock is healthy, and that's a big if with him, and right now with pretty much everybody on the Minnesota Twins roster, if he's healthy, and we've talked about this before, and I know you guys have talked about it on the Score North Twins show, flagship show, he can be a game changer for me. He can shrink the game a little bit if he can come in and throw that fire for an inning or two or an inning and a third like we saw late last year and into the playoffs. You and I have talked about this before. I think Varland, in a perfect world, Varland and Paddock are both bullpen guys and could be very successful there and make a lot of money. But if Paddock can come back and you immediately shift him to the bullpen, I think he could be very, very helpful in that role. Now, to your point, Declan, maybe they, just because of a sheer numbers game, maybe they want him back in the rotation. If he's coming back healthy, it will be interesting to see where he goes, but I think we've kind of buried the lead. You've mentioned a Joe Ryan update. What is that update, and is there any potential? Any potential? I don't think there is, but maybe you're going to change my mind. Any potential he'll pitch again this year for the Twins?
So he has been working out. Lower legs are good. The shoulder still feels good. He really isn't in much pain at all, but the tricep injury is a very tricky one where I don't think he feels much discomfort, but you take a baseball, you throw it 94, 95, and curve it and spin it in ways that the normal human arm is not meant to do. That becomes a problem. He had that. He's going to get a second MRI sooner rather than later. We don't have an actual date on that. He saw the second opinion in LA. That doctor, who I believe is the team doctor of the Lakers or the Dodgers, I forget who he is. He's done a bunch of surgeries. He did Cat's meniscus surgery. When he saw him, that was the same diagnosis that the Twins had, which actually is good. There's no conflicting evidence there. Long term, this is not going to be a significant issue for Joe. The MRI that initially was done saw no structural damage in his shoulder, no structural damage in the lat. It's just in the tricep. So once they get the next MRI done, which, again, I don't know the exact timetable of, there could be a plan to get him ramping back up, and we'll see. But as of now, there's no plan really to pick up a baseball. But he feels good. He feels strong. He's just pissed off because it was as good as he has felt going into that start where he got injured that he has had all season. And you go and look at the velocity; it was very strong and upticking. This wasn't a situation where his velo was down. He had a bit of a fluke injury, and he's hoping that the next MRI is a good sign where maybe he can help the Twins out, but he's also aware that we're about, obviously, a month away from the regular season ending. There's only so many minor league games left too on that side of the schedule. But that next MRI, which hopefully is probably coming in the next week, I'm gonna assume. I don't have that to pinpoint knowledge, but once he gets MRI done, that'll probably tell us a lot about if Joe Ryan can come back to this rotation.
Yeah, and if he would, it wouldn't be till the playoffs just based on his current IL status anyways. I will say this, for as much as I was maybe hard on the Minnesota Twins philosophy and we poked fun at their buying trade acquisitions of hurt goods or ineffective goods, trading 2 months of Nelson Cruz for Joe Ryan was a good trade. That was a very good trade, and the Twins have had plenty of good trades too. It's not all doom and gloom, but despite his injury this year, that was a very nice trade for the Minnesota Twins. I'm hopeful, Declan, but it's also possible that by the time, if the Twins make the playoffs, and I still believe that they will, by the time he comes back to what you just said, Declan, I don't even know how you rehab a guy like that. How do you get him rehabbed and ready to play? Or does he come back and just immediately do long relief in the bullpen, or you start him and see if you can get a couple innings out of him? That's a tough spot to be in if they do get him back.
So a little bit of breaking news. This literally just coming through. Joe Ryan just got transferred to the 60-day injured list, which means he is out for the regular season.
Well, there you go.
You go.
There you have it. You just cut me
Literally,
off.
just dropped down 2 to 3 minutes into the middle of that round. I mean, all that stuff I told you about what he's feeling and what he's still waiting for that MRI. That part is still valid and true. But with the retroactivate him going to the 60-day IL, that would take him through the end of the season. So there is no Joe Ryan for the regular season, and playoffs, yes, probably appear to be very nil. So another nutcracker there for the Twins.
What if he comes back on like October 10th and just spins a gem after the Twins have knocked the Yankees out of the wild card round, and they're maybe at Boston? There would be a 30 for 30 on that, right? What if I told you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He did get his hair cut. He trimmed up the hair a little bit.
Oh, he did?
He's got it a little trimmed up. It looks nice. Yep, the long hair's gone. He trimmed up the hair.
Business
looks
cash.
good, feels good, but exactly. But yeah, if he is on the 60-day, then that will most likely rule him out for the regular season. A couple other notes here from Extra Innings. Hit the like button, subscribe button right here on the Score North Twin Show. Byron Buxton was hitting in the cage today, in the locker room or in the clubhouse area. So we'll see how close he is to returning. Rocco still anticipated that he'll have some rehab at bats. We'll see if that's the case. The Twins, or the Saints, I should say, are in Omaha. Twins will have an off day on Thursday. Brooks Lee is playing shortstop for the St. Paul Saints on Tuesday evening. He'll bat second. Plan was for him to at least play 2 games in Omaha. So I would, again, probably rule out Brooks Lee for this series, but probably is back for the Twins for the weekend series against Toronto. So a couple other injury notes there, which are good. And we'll see what happens with Eddie Julian, who is batting tonight for the Twins, I should say, here against the Atlanta Braves. He might be the casualty when Brooks Lee returns. But that is the majority of your updates here on Extra Innings.
It's just a mangled mess right now, isn't it, Declan? There's no better way to describe it. They are literally limping to the finish line. It's been incredible to see, and I've made this joke before, but was it 2-3 years ago at the end of the season, the Twins had a bit of a disappointing season, and people thought, oh, well, maybe bench coach is going to go. Maybe they'll get a new pitching coach. Maybe it's going to be a new third base coach. Maybe Tommy Watkins will switch spots, and all the team did was fire the head athletic trainer because we thought that would fix all the injury woes with this team. Turns out it's just a sport where you get injured, and sometimes when it rains, it pours, and right now it's doing that for the Minnesota Twins. But I hope once you get Brooks Lee back and hopefully a healthy Byron Buxton, and at some point Carlos Correa continues to say he's going to play this year. I'll believe it when I see it. But hopefully you start to get those guys back, and albeit not pitchers, scoring a few more runs can also help out your pitching staff. So let's hope that is indeed the case. And Declan, I wanted 2 out of 3 in this series. That means you'll now have to win the next 2, but at bare minimum, just find a way to win one of these 2 games. You can't get swept. Find a way to win one of these 2 games, especially when Boston's not winning anymore. But now here comes Seattle again. You're right. It's the fire the manager pop-up effect.
Ross, do you have a quick hitter for us here on Extra Innings?
I do. You brought up Omaha, who are the Storm Chasers. And I think the Storm Chasers is a really good name. But whether it be from your time with the St. Paul Saints in independent ball or just another minor league baseball name, do you have a favorite minor league baseball team name that is not the Savannah Bananas because they play fake minor league baseball? So I'm looking for a real team. Real team name.
Yeah, it's the Portland Pickles. Are you kidding me? The Portland Pickles? Are you familiar with them?
Who are the Portland Pickles? Are they affiliated or are they just independent? Who are they?
They're in the West Coast League. I don't know if they're affiliated with anyone. They might just be an independent league. But I know they're in Portland, and I know their mascot has a pickle on it. I mean, come on.
Okay, that's
look
good.
at that.
That's
it's phenomenal stuff. The Portland Pickles. So probably the Portland Pickles. I like that one a lot.
The Target Field Wi-Fi has kind of done a number on you today, so it was perfect that your camera froze at just the right time where we got to really get a good look at the pickles. I'll tell you one that I love, and you can also look it up on your own time, the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. They are the AAA affiliate of your Miami Marlins, the Jumbo Shrimp of Jacksonville. So there you go. I see something called the Danville Dairy Daddies in the comments. I just scanned the comments for the first time. That's a great one. And the Milwaukee Milkmen, who are now in the American Association. That's a great one because their uniforms are milkmen. So there you go. Comment with your favorite minor league baseball team name. That's all I got for you, Dex. Good stuff as always.
Extra Innings. We'll be back tomorrow for another episode. Appreciate you guys listening and watching.